Tonight, criminals on the attack. Drug suspects open fire on an officer and leave him for dead. Plus, gun-toting hoodlums storm a convenience shop, but the owner and his family fight back. And
take a deep breath and blow.
A cop makes a DUI stop when he's ambushed by a boozing madman.
Back up, brother. Back up.
Then, brazen robbers hit a pawn shop and retreat in a hail of gunfire. Later, an armed crook threatens a cashier until the manager serves up a stinging dose of justice. This is not a movie. Everything you're about to see is real. Brace yourself. This is Most Shocking Criminal Behavior.
Tyler, Texas.
Georgia 1625. Speed and one stop for me.
Trooper Stephen Stone pulls over a pickup on Rural Highway 31.
And a little bit over on your speed.
The speed limit drops down to 65 at night. When I checked them speeding, they were running 73.
Stone soon realizes there's more going on with these two men than just a lead foot.
Tell you what, I'm gonna close your door. You just wait right here.
So I go back up there to shut the door. When I do that, I observe an open container of alcohol in the vehicle.
Hand me that bottle.
Stone documents the evidence on camera.
Open container of alcohol in the vehicle. That's not you? You don't have any weapons on you, do you? No pocket knives, guns, anything like that? You got a pocket knife where?
I'm not real comfortable the way he's acting. He won't look me in the eye. He's kind of talking down at the ground type deal.
Put it on the bumper for me.
For his own safety, he pats down the driver.
What's this? What is that?
And he uncovers something suspicious.
And it looked like a couple of latex gloves that had been tied at the wrists.
What's in there? What?
Clearly, it's time to make an arrest.
Okay, I got a bag full of drugs here.
But before he can put on the cuffs, his worst nightmare unfolds.
Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. Stay in the car! Get in the car! Get in the car!
My vision went black. I could feel myself blinking, but I could not see anything.
It happens in seconds. When the passenger distracts Stone, the driver pulls a hidden gun and shoots point blank.
When I did get my vision back, I was already in the ditch, looking up at the suspect shooting down at me. In my mind, every round they fired was actually striking my body.
The suspects empty their guns toward the screaming officer. Then they flee, leaving him bleeding from wounds to his shoulder and neck.
I did believe I was going to die right there in the ditch. I thought about my family, but I wanted to live to see my little girl again.
Incredibly, Stone hangs on long enough to describe the perps.
It's got to be a blue pickup truck.
As rescue personnel head for the wounded officer, backup cruisers descend on the suspects. The manhunt closes in. But the gunmen aren't done trying to kill cops, and they've got an assault rifle.
Tyler PD officers received fire and had their vehicles struck by the suspects.
But their high-caliber escape comes to a crashing end.
The suspect vehicle actually wrecked out and hit another vehicle.
Cops swarm the overturned truck, securing the two men. Their brief but deadly reign of terror is over. But Deputy Stone is barely clinging to life.
3 rounds struck me in the neck, 2 rounds struck me in the chest, and 1 round went in the left side of my back and came out the top of my shoulder.
They're brutal injuries that might have been worse, if not for his bulletproof vest. Stone's would-be killers are brought to justice. The driver receives life in prison. His partner faces a minimum of 70 years.
Ma'am, it's the scariest thing I've ever had to experience in my life. I am extremely, extremely lucky to be alive.
Beach Island, South Carolina. A convenience store is about to come under attack. 3 armed men storm the premises, and these guys are pros. One crook covers the door. Another subdues the customers. The third heads where the real money is, the back office. The robbery catches owner Mary Todd completely by surprise.
I was crocheting. I love to crochet, and that's what I do in my spare time. All of a sudden, I heard a big bang. It sounded like a bomb on top of the building.
The door is locked, but Mary can see the thief through her window.
Every time he hit the door, it would pounce him back about 7 or 8 feet. And he'd get a running start and start again.
A cashier ducks the menacing aim of the cover man's pistol, pleading for her life. Another clerk sneaks a push of the alarm button, but help may not get there in time. Fortunately, Mary's got a .32 caliber backup plan.
I reach for my gun, which is on a rubber band on top of my Bible. I live by the Bible, and I live by that gun. And I cocked it, and I waited for him to come through the door.
But the attacker can't break it down. The frustrated thieves argue among themselves. But Mary is listening to a very different voice.
My guardian angel said, Mary, Mary, shoot the window out.
The second robber heads for the back. As he approaches the door, Mary takes action. The gangsters race out even faster than they came in. The explosion of glass catches them all off guard. They flee empty-handed, their plans shot to pieces. What this criminal took as bad luck may have actually saved his life.
He did not know what was behind that door. So definitely his life would have been changed.
Mary's shot may have cost her a window, but that's a small price to pay to protect her staff and herself. Bradenton, Florida. Inside a local bank, a security camera captures convicted felon David Sovey at a teller window. The bank's about to be robbed, but not by him. It's the next customer in shades and a hat who's scheming to pull a heist.
He walked up to the teller lady, picked something out of his pocket, handed it to her.
David's criminal intuition spots trouble.
And I said, yeah, I think this guy's going to rob the bank.
What this crook didn't count on was an ex-con who's now on the right side of the law.
I just jumped on him. He wasn't expecting it. He was not expecting it.
David takes the man down, then makes sure he hasn't committed a serious blunder.
I called out to the teller. I said, hey, did he rob you? And the lady said, yeah.
The robber muscles his way back to his feet. David hangs on and drops him again, wrapping him in a clinch. He soon realizes he might be fighting for his very life.
He keeps on reaching for something in his waist, telling me he's going to shoot me and kill me.
As the bandit struggles, money scatters across the floor. David still holds tight.
The only thing that mattered to me was life, and I was wanting to stay alive, so I wrapped him up.
After an agonizing 5 minutes, police arrive. They quickly cuff the suspect and give a thank you to the exhausted vigilante. It turns out there is no weapon, just a punk who nearly got away with $3,000. He's now facing several years in jail, thanks to a former criminal who risked his life to fight crime.
It felt good to be noticed for doing something right.
Next, a video store clerk boldly stares down the barrel of a gun, then gives the thug a face full of mace. And an unsuspecting officer suffers a sneak attack by a bottle-bashing drunk.
Back up, Bubba. Back up.
Later, a cloaked robber battles a crime-fighting clerk armed with a mop. When most shocking, criminal behavior returns.
San Antonio, Texas.
We had a beer we left from my house.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, I need to check your eyes right quick.
Deputy Stephen Wood administers a breathalyzer on a suspected drunk driver.
All you got to do is you take a deep breath, you blow through this little straw just like you're blowing bubbles in a Coke. You know the drill? You done this before?
No, sir, I'm a criminal justice major.
The deputy expects the woman to be over the legal limit, but he never expects what happens next.
Before I left from my home, when she came to see me, we're friends, we hadn't seen each other in 15 years. What are you doing? What are you
Back up, Bubba. Back up.
Oh, my God.
Back up. Back up.
Stop what you're doing.
Somebody better come get this guy before I put him down.
As Deputy Wood questions the driver, a stranger creeps up behind him.
When I turned to see what it was, that's when I put my hand up to block it. The guy was coming down at me with a beer bottle. And I knocked the bottle out of his hand.
The deputy draws his gun,
Back up, Bubba.
but the man lurches forward.
Back up. Back up.
He's just seconds and inches from facing lethal force.
I was trying to do everything I could not to hurt this guy.
Somebody better come get this guy before I put him down.
If anybody knew this guy, it would be a good time to get him under control.
With no time to spare, a bar patron and the DUI suspect intervene. The deranged assailant is pushed back into the bar.
From outside, I could see both doors. I knew he couldn't go anywhere.
Deputy Wood waits for backup, still shaken by the assault.
Having somebody attack you from behind is something you always hear about. Never really believe it's going to happen to you.
Fellow officers arrive, and the attacker is dragged out of the club.
But I think this man was just so far gone on the alcohol, he thought he could do no wrong. He still wanted to fight with us. He didn't want to cooperate.
His foolish decision to attack a cop was costly. The man is currently serving 13 years behind bars.
Take a deep breath and blow.
As for the DUI suspect, she took advantage of the distraction to destroy the breathalyzer.
She took her foot and she started crunching down on top of the portable breath tester. Then she picked it up and she pulled the battery and the wiring out of it.
She's arrested for driving while intoxicated and tampering with evidence. Deputy Wood is living proof that officers are never safe while out on the beat.
Back up, Bubba.
Anybody can be your worst nightmare. As long as you keep that in mind, you always stay on your toes, you always stay ready, and hopefully you always come home at night.
New York City. Two thieves brandishing weapons invade a convenience store. They flaunt their firepower and bark orders. The owner opens the register, but there's only a few dollars. The crook is desperate. He threatens to kill the owner and his wife. Behind the counter, the owner suddenly tackles the robber. His wife screams in terror. The gunman panics, wildly aiming his rifle across the counter. A third family member emerges, pelting the armed robber with anything he can grab. The hoodlum pleads with his partner to cut and run. He breaks free of the owner, and both men escape into the night. Finally, the terrifying ordeal is over. The criminals had the guns, but it was the family who had the guts to fight for their lives. San Jose, Brazil. Taxi drivers have been terrorized by a mugger, so cabbies decide to take matters into their own hands. A vigilante squad goes into action. There's a tip the culprit is hiding in this building. Suddenly, they find their man. This is the thug who beat and robbed a driver just hours ago. Now, it's payback time. He begs for mercy. Finally, a cop pulls a gun. The mugger is bloody, but he's still conscious. He's had a bitter taste of Brazilian street justice. Las Vegas, Nevada. James Kiley is working graveyard at a local video store. He watches a man enter and head toward the counter. What James sees next is 6 inches of cold steel.
I looked down, he's got a pistol pointed right at my stomach. I was kind of, startled. And he says, move over to the register.
James has a bad feeling that this could be more than just a robbery.
The thought went through my mind, if I comply, would he shoot me anyway?
If he's going to die, it won't be without a fight. The crazed robber bashes James upside the head with the butt of his gun. But the clerk strikes back.
I just threw him over the counter. He went over head first.
The crook cracks his skull on the floor. James grabs a can of mace and blasts the intruder.
I just kept it spraying right at his face, hoping that he wasn't going to be able to grab the gun and then re-aim and start firing at me.
The gunman is neutralized by the blinding spray.
After about maybe 5-10 seconds of firing that mace at him, he got up and he ran by the counter. He said, that's enough of that.
The felon escapes. The video clerk's brush with death lasts only seconds, but the night still haunts him.
It's changed my life because I think I'm a little more paranoid now.
Paranoid, but not afraid to put a criminal in his place.
Coming up.
Take your hand out. What's going on?
An officer fights for her life when she tries to arrest a giant. Plus, gangsters invade a pawn shop, but are blown back by a hail of gunfire. And a female thief tries to get rich, but loses her shirt. Next on Most Chuck, Criminal Behavior.
Houston, Texas. Inside the A-Plus pawn shop, owner Steve Smith and his assistant, Melissa Rector, are on duty.
Melissa was standing behind the counter, and I was behind the counter relaxed and kind of just taking it easy, and then I looked out the front door, and I realized that 3 guys are coming up the front door.
The intruders charge in, guns blazing. The gunmen turn tail and run. Take a closer look. Steve grabs a pistol from beneath the counter and fires back.
We have guns probably every 5 feet down the pawn shop. You know, a lot of people don't realize we have that many guns.
The robbers bolt in panic.
They came in about halfway into the pawn shop, and then they realized I was firing, and they turned around and ran out the front door. I guess they saw the glass break, and they realized I had real bullets, so...
These cold-blooded criminals were here for more than just a robbery. They aimed to kill.
They were going to kill us first before they did anybody.
Steve's partner comes out of a back room with a rifle. He rushes to get a look at the getaway car. That's when Steve makes a terrifying discovery. Melissa has been hit.
I didn't realize until after everything happened. I could tell that with her posture, she was holding her neck and everything.
Blood is gushing from her throat. Steve does all he can to save her.
As I talked to the operator on 911, she told me several procedures to keep her from bleeding so much and put some paper towels on her neck.
Melissa suffers a direct hit from a shotgun blast. But thanks to Steve's cool under fire, she survives.
Steve saved my life. I know to this day that if Steve hadn't been here, I wouldn't be here today either.
The murderous suspects are still at large, but if they have any plans of returning to this pawn shop, Steve's armed and ready.
All 3 of us would probably been dead if I hadn't had that gun.
Holly Springs, Georgia.
Take your hand out. Take your hand out.
It's the worst mismatch since David and Goliath. Officer Julie Welch, 5'5" and 130 pounds, tries to arrest a 6'11" giant.
I could not get over how tall he was. I literally remember thinking, what have I got myself into?
Officer Welch suspects the man is high on cocaine. She tries to talk him down.
You're shaking all over. What's going on? Leave your hands. Don't do it. Quit. Stop right now. Are you going to comply with me?
The suspect appears to cooperate. But in a matter of seconds, everything changes.
What do we have going on in there? A pipe? Take, drop that stuff up there to your car. Put that right there.
Time for handcuffs. But this guy has the upper hand and the element of surprise.
Because he's so tall, went so far forward, I lost my grip.
The determined cop gives it all she's got. But she's no match for the towering suspect. Fortunately, a brave citizen comes to the rescue.
He had been in the Wendy's drive-thru, which is right next to where we pulled over. He asked me if I needed help, and I told him absolutely.
With his help, Officer Welch finally cuts the man down to size. He goes to jail.
I don't even want to think about what would have happened if he had gotten a hold of my weapon.
Officer Welch may be small in stature, but when she faced off with a giant, she came up big. Kansas City, Kansas. At a local convenience store, a scheming woman thinks she's going to line her pockets in a robbery, but she'll end up losing her shirt. She doesn't know that Omar Takow has a reputation as the fighting clerk. Last time someone held up Omar, he teed off on him with a golf club. And tonight, he's about to take another swing at crime. The woman fidgets at the counter. Then, she dives at Omar's cash drawer. But when the thief grabs at the bills, Omar snatches her shirt. Watch again. Omar loses his fight to keep the robber away from the cash, but hangs on to a crucial piece of evidence, her T-shirt. The lawbreaker has to make a topless getaway. Her take from the robbery is only $3. Not even enough to buy a new shirt.
Next, a customer reaches for her wallet and pulls an 8-inch blade, sparking a furious life and death struggle. And an angry driver picks a fight with a cop and dares the officer to take him out. Then, when a masked rifleman robs a mom and pop, the whole family rallies to beat him back. When Most Shocking, Criminal Behavior continues.
Oak Ridge, Texas. Officer Mark Brokoff makes a traffic stop on a lonely stretch of highway.
Subject was being pulled over for a speeding violation for 78 in a 65-mile-per-hour zone.
But this speedy driver is even quicker to get out of his car.
That threw up a red flag with me.
The officer's next warning is the man's attitude.
He's being very difficult just by his aggression. The situation was escalating.
It doesn't take long before the situation explodes.
Everything happened so fast. By the time I grabbed him, he had already pushed me and swung at me.
Brokoff fights his way free and pulls his gun. But this guy's not intimidated.
He kept yelling at me. He starts to approach me while my gun's still drawn. In my mind, I'm thinking, here I go. I'm gonna shoot this guy. If he comes charging at me, I'm gonna shoot him.
Brokoff decides on a different approach. Pepper spray. The man quickly retreats, locking himself inside the car. Brokoff shatters the window. and empties his can of spray as backup arrives.
He was reaching toward the center console and the glove box. I thought for sure the subject had a gun.
While one officer trains his weapon on the man, the others open the passenger side. They're soon in hand-to-hand combat.
He came charging out the passenger door at me to kind of stop him. I slammed the door on him, and it worked.
The unruly suspect is finally taken into custody. With officers still unsure why he became so combative. A search of his car reveals one clue. A half-empty can of beer. The man came dangerously close to losing his life over an open container. Officer Brockhoff is just relieved it didn't come to a tragic end.
Yeah, it was a scary feeling. Scary feeling. You hear about it all the time, officer shootings, and I thought this was going to be mine.
Bangkok, Thailand. The lady in the tank top is shopping for a gold bracelet. At least that's what the clerk's two sisters are led to believe. The shopper reaches in her purse for a wallet, when suddenly she pulls an 8-inch carving knife, savagely slashing at the older sister's neck. The terrified shop owners frantically try to wrestle the blade away. One grabs the robber's hand, while the other claws at her fingers. Finally, the knife drops to the ground. The older sister picks it up and slices wildly at the thief. Wounded, the crook breaks away and bolts out the door, with the fearless sisters giving chase. The bloodthirsty jewel thief is captured moments later. She's taken to a local hospital and cuffed to the bed, just in case. Miraculously, both sisters survived the vicious attack without serious injury. If it wasn't for their quick and courageous action, this heist could have cost them their lives. Auckland, New Zealand. A man enters a mini-mart carrying a large duffel. The clerk finishes helping a customer. The man waits until the store's empty. Then, he puts on a ski mask and pulls out a gun. But the clerk's husband is watching from the back room, and he's ready to battle, even if it's broom against bullets. He loses his broom, but distracts the gunman just long enough. The owner's wife grabs a cricket bat and takes a strike. The fight spills toward the door. The owner rushes back into the fray. Even the couple's 3 boys help chase the robber down the street, with nothing but the duffel on his back. Strangely enough, the thief would go on to rob a different store the very same night. But he hasn't come back to this family's mini-mart ever again.
Coming up, when a jewelry heist goes bad, the crooks go down. And a stick-up man threatens a cashier, but her boss knocks him out cold. That's next on Most Shocking Criminal Behavior.
Thailand, a man at a jewelry store shops for expensive gold rings. But when the haggling doesn't work, negotiations turn deadly. With no warning, the customer pulls a pistol and aims it at the owner's face. But he makes a fatal mistake. The owner sees that the gun isn't cocked, giving him time to gain the upper hand. Incredibly, the owner avoids getting shot. But the crook is hit at point-blank range. A skittering cartridge marks the end of this brutal battle. Police arrive to find the suspect mortally wounded. They also discover an astonishing twist to this story. It turns out this robber is a former provincial boxing champion of Thailand, well-known and well-liked. Unfortunately, this last bout left him down for the count. St. Paul, Minnesota. Amar Abosad is working the night shift when he spots two regular customers. Suddenly, they hop the counter. He's savagely attacked with a knife. 4 gashes to the gut in less than 5 seconds. The suspects know that Amar keeps the store's cash in his pocket. Amar is struck 3 more times with the blade. Amazingly, he keeps fighting. The homicidal hood brutally slashes him again. The robbers finally wrestle $900 from his pocket. Even with 8 stab wounds, Amar chases the bandits with a baseball bat. Miraculously, he survives. The vicious assault takes only 40 seconds. But with the help of this video, Amar sends his crooked customers behind bars for several years. Grand Rapids, Michigan. A busy day at a grocery store. Suddenly, an armed man confronts a cashier and demands money. Customers are stunned. But a nearby clerk knows exactly what to do. She presses a silent alarm, alerting the owner, Miguel Perez.
There were several people on the line. The 3 lines were busy. The other cashiers, they seen that this guy was taking some money. They pushed the panic button.
The terrified cashier frantically empties her cash drawer. The thief never sees Miguel sprinting to the rescue until the equalizer is, of all things, a carpenter's level. Watch again. The robber wears a hooded sweatshirt to shield his identity. But it also blocks his view of Miguel, who lands a pulverizing blow.
Yeah, he was trying to protect my business or protect the girl, the cashier.
Miguel's stunning shot knocks the man unconscious. Within minutes, police and paramedics arrive. The armed robber is carried out on a stretcher. The cashier is uninjured. Miguel's bold move may have saved her life.
People say, hey, you are a hero, but I don't feel like a hero.
After what they experienced in the robbery, the clerks at Miguel's store would disagree.
Next, a Star Wars bandit with a 2x4 is no match for a Jedi Knight manager and his mob. When most shocking, criminal behavior returns.
Jonesboro, Arkansas. A cloaked intruder enters a convenience store. It's not Halloween, and there's no Star Wars convention in town. The man's here to commit a robbery. He's confronted by the night clerk, Lucas Jenkins.
I was getting ready to mop the floor when I thought I heard a customer enter through the front. So I walked around the front with my mop in hand.
Lucas is not intimidated by the robber or his weapon.
He's not going to rob my store while I'm on duty, especially with just a stick. The guy was about my height, so I figured I could take him.
The thief tries to break into the cash drawer.
He asked me how to get it open, then he told me to open it up, and I said, hell no.
So now, the crook wants the whole register. Lucas isn't going to let that happen.
Finally just pushes past me and runs around the counter, picks the register up off the floor, and heads out the front door.
The clerk did his best to hold the Caped Avenger off, but he escapes with the register and $200.
The usual policy is just to give the criminals the money and let them go. Don't try to do anything heroic. But in this case, he only had a stick. I figured I could take him. If he ever comes back again, he's going to need more than just a stick.
These are the amazing real stories of everyday citizens and police officers who battle dangerous criminals and live to tell about it.